is referring to the reish of the neshama. It says in Tanya, the neshama is connected to Shem Havaya, is composed of 4 chalakim, Yud K Vav K. The neshama which is in the guf, which is in the body, is the hay of the Shem Havaya. When a person does an aveira, he disconnects the hay to the Yud K Vav, that's of tshuva to reconnect. The main ikar chelik of the neshama stays above. That's the place of the Siris Nefesh, Kvemis Makifim, Chai Yechida. That stays above. So right. So in the Torah says Sisa reish, you shall raise the reish part of the neshama. It means you're raising the Chai Yechida of the neshama, and the Torah goes on to say through the meaning of Staka, which is connected to the tshuva. By the way, before we start the Maimer, there's just a Maimer Muskar, the way the Rebbe learns the Inyan of Kisisas Reish, Inyan of Machzis HaShekel, that Rashi Moshe was wondering how could the Machzis HaShekel be a Keifer Nefesh. So Rebbe showed him at Be'er Shel Eish. So the Rebbe says in the Sikha, it's the known question. Moshe Rabbeinu knew how a coin looks. Rebbe should make a nest to show him at Be'er Shel Eish. Moshe Rabbeinu knew what a coin is, but Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't understand how could a Machzis HaShekel that a Yid give be a Keifer Nefesh. In other words, it does a mitzvah, it connects to the Eibishter. But this, the Avodah Zarah, is negated to the etzem. It's the etzem and the shama. How could a Maisa act, a Gashmistika act, take a person's etzem and the shama and release it from where it went? How could it touch the etzem and the shama? So the Eibishter told him no. The Eibishter showed him that it's a matbeya shel eish. There's a flame that is connected to Machzis HaShekel, which is deeper than any other mitzvah. It touches the etzem and the shama, touches the essence of a yid's neshama, and that's why it's only Machzis HaShekel. You're half of the Eibush. It's so deep that you're one thing with the Eibush. It's only you and the Eibush are 2 halves. So
same coin.
Same coin, exactly. So the Rebbe is gonna, as Alter Rebbe here is gonna start Maimer based on the question. How can we accomplish this Indian of Sisas Reish, raising our Reish on the Shama, which is not in our reach? We are control of our koiches that were given to us down here. How can we raise Reish B'nai Yisrael? And the Alter Rebbe, we know that everything in the Torah is connected to 3. The Torah was given on the 3rd day. The Indian of Torah mitzvahs b'chlal is not to take one kav, not to take one extreme. The concept of Torah is to take one extreme and the other extreme and to combine them together. The Indian of Chesed and Gvura, the Indian of Tiferes, the Indian of Torah is the Indian of Chesed is just pure Chesed. You can say pure Ruchnius. Gevura is just also one extreme. It has a certain limitation to it. The Indian that you combine these 2 opposites together, that's connected to the Eibush himself. The Eibush himself, Nimna Minoi, can take those 2 extremes and combine and make one out of it. And that's the avodah that we have, Yid has as well in this world, to take one extreme, to take Gashmius, which is totally a different extreme than Ruchnius, and combine that to Ruchnius, take those 2 extremes and make it into one. And that's how you connect it. That's how Sidus explains that Shem Havaya is connected to the center. The center is connected to the middle of Tiferes, which is connected to the center is Chesed Gvura Tiferes. Tiferes is the middle, the third Kabaya. And that's connected to Keser, right? And that's connected to Keser, which is higher than Hishtal, which is higher than revelation. It's connected to something that's higher. Revelation is when you connect to one side, one extreme, one kav. But when you connect to beyond that, it has to come down from a place which is beyond those limitations. So that That is the concept of how that you connect to Atmos when you connect. That's the Indian Shem Havaya and Indian. So that's how he starts the Maimer, that it's connected to these two Inyanim. It's connected to Smoila to be able to reach that. You have Smoiloi and you have Yaminoi. And so Smoiloi Tachas the Reishi. That's the Indian of Gevura, the Indian of Smoil, which is Smoil Doicha, the Indian of Gevura, and at the same time you mean it which can mean also Sarissa de Lasata, which is a person arousing himself, going upwards. That's the concept of sometimes connected with Meriro, something connected with, like you explained further, the Sachuva. And at the same time, you have the Shuv, you have the Min Chakeni, the connection to the Eibusher. So all these Inyanim are connected, how we connect to the Eibusher himself. And he's going to go on to explain that these two concepts are expressed in two inyanim. Is a Yid loves Hashem with his whole heart, with both hearts. That means he transforms also his Yetzer Hara to love Hashem. That means he arouses and he works and he refines himself. He raises himself higher and becomes closer to the Eibusher. And then the Indian of Chol Nafshcha, that your neshama is connected, not so much your nefesh abam is your B'chol Vavcha, the Yetzer Hara, but then Nafshcha, your neshama itself is connected to Eibusher nefesh, which is connected also to the concept of the Eibusher connecting to you, the Indian of Shuv, as we'll see in the Maimer. And then it goes on to the highest level of Chol Meidecha, we'll get to. So he starts like this. Hine, the Indian Ha'ilumes came derech Hashem l'bnei Yisrael Kreve. The way it works in the Ha'ilumes that Hashem created, the same concept is the way it works with Hashem. In other words, when Eibusher made the world, it was Eibusher saw the avodah of Yidden. The work Rosh Hashanah, we know we have to be ma'ir the Eibusher to recreate the worlds. Everything works with the Sirsul Sata and Sirsul Leila. There's an awakening from above, below, and then his areas from above. So the same concept works with the Yisrael Kredik. When we see his areas, we see that there's an effect of the Bechin of Smel Deicha Milmaila, that we see there's an Indian of Deicha, the Indian of things that are supposedly in our eyes negative, because of actions that Yidden, that people conducted themselves, that Hashem gave them an Indian which looks like a punishment, chas v'shalom, or something which is negative. So he says, that alone is where the source of Yeshua comes from. Like the Marash teaches, me'ayin yove ezri, me'ayin from the ayin. It's when you don't see any way of a Yeshua. That's where the Eibusher himself helps you. The Rebbe brings in the Aras many different memorim or sichos that brings from the Rebbeim, from which I'm the Rebbeim, that when a person is not supposed to be lying on nest. And say on nest. You know that person has to do a Peter Hateva. But when a person sees that he's in a situation, he's in a matzav, that he's in such a tzara that he doesn't have any way out, he sees that then he's not supposed to do anything. Then he has to put his whole betachon and Eibusher himself. He's not allowed to do anything. Then it does apply same thing. He has to rely completely on Eibusher. And the matzav is in such a case, that means the Eibusher wants his pure betachon that totally relies on the Eibusher and no connection to Derech HaTeva. So he says that alone is and that causes that it will raise them even higher than they were, because they were in a situation that wasn't so good. That will be either them to tshuva, and they'll raise even higher. Zehu Sisa reish b'nei Yisrael l'pidei yeah pirish al yedei eiza pekida shiv poked aleim l'rachas Hashem, through some kind of watch or punishment that the Eibusher chas v'sholem gives in a way that seems to be something negative. There isn't any kind of a bad situation that doesn't have a connection or punishment that has connection to the sin of the Egel. Through that, Adarab, Tisa is Bereish B'nai Yisrael. That will raise the Yidden higher. In other words, anything like that always brings anything that's negative, even a person doesn't have on his own. There's an after effect is not in his control. After effect is the Eibush wants to bring you to a higher tshuva. Anything that everything that comes from the Eibush is toiv. So the inner effect of anything that doesn't look good is really toiv. There's a lot of Batisa Shreis Bnei Yisrael. It's not a complete distance of pushing someone away. The goal of it is that it should be in a closer connection. Like we know, it says in Tanya that the whole advantage of Merirus is that then you get to a greater simcha. The Yisra your simcha after being in a state of bitterness, not chas v'shalom atzvus, brings you to a much greater state of simcha and after the effect of the opposite. Then we have the next part of the pasuk. We have the small doicha, and then we come to V'yimin Chakein. Then we reach to Hashem's right hand hugging us, which we never were able to reach without the small doicha. The small doicha brings us to the ultimate V'yimin Chakein. And then the Maimer is going to explain how this applies to everyone's avodah, because the Yid through his avodah can do the small doicha without chas v'shalom having the negative things. He can work on himself to Indian of tshuva, and then he has the small doicha as well, and he reaches the V'yimin Chakein. Even when he falls, it's not a complete fall. It doesn't drop completely, but it's something to be able to come higher. To understand this whole concept in Avodas Hashem, it says, "Hakoil Koil Yaakov." Koil Yaakov is the voice of Yaakov. We know it says in Vayeshev. Vayishlach. Sorry. So one Koil means hamshacha. So one Koil says with a vav, one says with arava. What? Yeah. Ksiva Koil Yaakov based on Koil Aleph below vav, the echad bevav. Vav shows on a concept of hamshacha, coming all the way downwards. Base koiloi saying, what are these concepts of these two koilois? Koil Yaakov, a double koil, and echad l'Torah, echad l'tefillah. One represents Torah, one represents tefillah. So tefillah is the concept of going upwards, milmata l'mayl, and Torah is coming down with downwards. That's the concept with a vav. Koil with a vav, which shows on hamshacha, you're bringing it downwards. So now he's going to explain how these two inyanim, Torah and tefillah, are both connected to the small doicha min Chakein. Hine pam amru the Talmud Torah connected kulan. The Chazal say in one place it's brought down that Talmud Torah connected kulan. Learning Torah stands greater than any other mitzvah. All the mitzvahs together. Fam fligu ba'odah shvach ma'alas hatefillah. And in a different place, the Chazal express and bring out the greatness of davening, of tefillah, which is even in a sense greater than Torah. Which reaches rather the kurv ne'ela, rather the Ein Sof, reaches mamish to Ein Sof. Like the Frierdiker Rebbe once came to Chassidim, I forgot where it was, and the brains and a mimer, deep paskola that was very and afterwards they went to daven mincha. So the Frierdiker Rebbe turned to Chatzah Fagin, told him all the haskola is very well, it's all giluyim. Now a simple mincha is going to be atzmus. I'm not saying exact words, but so tefillah reaches straight to the Eibishter. So he's saying which one is true? Is Torah greater or is tefillah greater? Shneim emes. He said they're both true. They are different in their concepts. Both are true, but they're just different concepts, which one has a mile over the other. Tefillah is the concept of going from beneath, going upwards. Torah is the concept of going from above, below. What is the goal of tefillah? What is tefillah supposed to express? What does it have to bring out? A connection to the Eibishter, a dveikus, a deep connection to the Eibishter, which ultimately connects you to the Eibishter and unites you to be one with Hashem. So where does tefillah lead you? To the end of Krishma. Krishma is Hashem Echad. You love Hashem. So the whole concept of tefillah is leading you to Kriyas Shema, which is love and connected dveikus to Hashem.
It follows Krishma.
What?
It follows.
That's even a higher level. That's Bittul B'Mtzi. That is already another concept in tefillah.
So when we say tefillah here, we're talking about Psuk Zimra. What are we talking about?
The Psuk Zimra lead you to Krishma.
That's
Everything
right.
leads you to
so
Krishma.
This tefillah that we're saying here, we're talking about
because all the fundamentals of Psuk Zimra lead you to Avas Hashem. Right? Even Krishma. Shema like it's explained in our Maimer and Vaychi that you have Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. Reuven is the beginning of seeing Re'iyah, which we're going to see in the Maimer here also. That means your connection to Hashem is the beginning of Re'iyah, that as if you as a reality that you're actually seeing with your physical eyes. Shimon is Shmiya, which is not the same as Re'iyah, because Re'iyah, no one could contradict what you saw. No matter what he's going to tell you, if you yourself saw it, I myself saw this thing happen, so it doesn't make a difference what you're going to tell me. So this is his reality of likus, of godliness, is at such a level, we're going to see it in the Maimer, that it's a reality of actually seeing it. So it's a certain darga. Sheikh Shimon, he also has abundant elikus. He has a connection to elikus, and he stands elikus and is connected, but it's where Shmi is merachik. Someone tells him something, you don't get that much affected unless you think about it very strongly and so on. But even then, it's not as much as your ear. Ear is a constant thing. And so Shmiya, something. If you hear something, you later contradict it. It's not that strong in your nefesh. And so that's the concept of. He explains there the union of the two parshas in Krishma. The Hafta is the union of Reuven is the first parsha of Shema. Shimon is the union of Yira. Yira is connected to Shemiah, which is the Vayim Shemaya. Levi is the union of Torah, which is Yatzav V'Nachin. And Yehuda. Levi is the concept of Torah. Reuven is Chasadim. Rachmim, middle, in between. It's Levi is the time you love Yisrael, the connection to Hashem. Just a connection to Hashem. That's the union of Torah. The union of Torah, Maisa Torah, Maisa Mitzvah is an actual Iker union of Torah. So Reuven Hashem is the union of Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem, and Levi is the union of Torah, and Yehuda is the Bittul B'Mtzi. So Atei Ducha Achacha, the union of complete. That's the union of Shemona Esra. So the way he's going to speak here in the Maimer, we know that
when he says here about Hafta, he's not excluding Vanessa. The Vahafta words is based in Krishna, but Avas Hashem and its highest level is by Krishna and by Tefillah. In fact, Tefillah even higher than Krishna. But what he's trying to say here is that davening is to lead you to a mitzvah. What's the mitzvah of Vahafta? The Vahafta is said in Krishna, but Vahafta really gets accomplished in Tefillah as much as Krishna. We're not excluding it, but that's
yeah. So he's saying to fulfill the mitzvah of Yahafta. Right? He says in Krishna the mitzvah we find the mitzvah of Yahafta Hashem Elikecha. Meshkazim Makamach. Derech Zeh Tiknu Gam Ken Kol Seder Atfilah Kedem Kriyas Shema Kedei Shekabel Olav B'Kriyas Shema Yahafta B'Emes. The whole entire davening up to Krishna is so that you should be able to say Kriyas Shema and say it for real, but that say it for real. There should be a reality, and you should realize that Hashem Echad, and that you come to the true love to Hashem. He's going to explain later what this Ava is all about. have to be emes. It should be with the emes. What is the approach? What leads a yid to come to this Avas Hashem? Like we say in Kriyishma, what kind of Ava? What leads you to come to this Ava? The Abish is telling you, I gave you life and the opposite of life, good and bad, and you should choose. In other words, if you recognize that that's your life, that Abish is a reality, that's the only true reality, and you recognize that just as you recognize your own life as what you really are, then you'll become to a real love to Hashem. He's going to explain what that means. Everything in this world, yesh gashmius v'ruchnius. There's physical and there's spiritual. There's gashmius and ruchnius. Ruchnius v'chayis eliki chayim b'toiv. The ruchnius, the spiritual part of everything, is good. That's a good part of everything. The physical part is something which gets deteriorated, is something which it's something that doesn't have a true existence to it. It's not truth, and it's not really something that you can say good unless it's connected to the ruchnius. Gashmius u'mavis v'ra call it v'nifsit. Gashmius is mavis, opposite of lavera and bad, because it deteriorates and it gets lost. When a person thinks about this, he will realize is called every physical object, a physical thing, is really not a standalone mitzias. It's not a standalone entity. It's just something important because there's something deeper to it. Just like when a person gives his friend Shalom Aleichem. So the body, the hand is just a vehicle to be able to reach another way to reach the other person's in the Shema, his real self, who he is, has to come through the Gashmis. Otherwise, he can't reach him. But if the Gashmis would be without Chas v'Shalom the Neshama, it wouldn't make sense to give Shalom Aleichem, because he has this guf and this Gashmias. So so the same applies to everything. We don't realize it, but we know as a reality that person is his neshama, is a ruchnius, and if there's no ruchnius even in an apple, it rots. If there's no life to something gashmius, it's totally valueless and totally null and void. So that the person feels that reality. He knows that reality, that the spiritual is the thing that really is everything, not just counts, but is really everything, and everything else is meaningless. So if that reality seeps into him, when he looks at the whole general world, he sees that reality, that everything lives and everything blossoms and everything has some kind of life to it. He realizes that what is that life? That life is the energy that Abish is giving it. It's only a godly energy. If he sees that as a reality, just as he sees himself as a reality, or his neshama as a reality, then his connection to the Abish is on a different plane, and that's what he's going to explain here. If I said before, the physical body is totally nullified to the ruchnius, to the neshama. Its energy and its life. That's why a person loves himself very much, because he feels his own neshama, his own self. He feels that's what he's all about, and it's automatically that a person that says that the only way a person could even have a step into Avodas Hashem is through, or even to reach Avos Hashem is if by loving himself, in a certain sense. That Yesh Mishayev, he himself is something and he loves Hashem. But that's the only way to start off. Otherwise, if a person is totally in a situation that he doesn't feel himself, even a small mitzias, he doesn't love himself to the extent that he has the energy to do things, they can't get closer to Hashem. In Gilus Esther, Mittel Rebbe's Amorim in Gilus Esther, he's a Meirich in the Isafis in Torah Ohr, a real Arichis that mitzias that you have, Amin ha'etz is Torah min Haman min Torah min Nayin, Amin ha'etz, that a yid has to start off with the union of Hagbah. He has to start off with this self-esteem, with picking himself up higher, and then it says that is alone his eris, that esteem that he has, but it's connected to coming closer to Hashem. That brings down his eris milmayla. That's a whole avodah in itself. Then he is elul ma'ila moila and higher madrigas. But anyway, so he says over here, Cain the yosim Cain, so much more so the person loves himself. Cain the yosim Cain, how much more so yesh le'lev la'adam le'v es Hashem. A person should love Hashem if he realizes the reality of who he is himself, and he loves himself. How much more so should he love Hashem? When he looks, steers with the eyes of his intellect, with his brain. That means just like when you see something with your eye, it's reality, your brain that's seeing it. So a person could actually visualize something and see it as a reality just by meditating and with this concept and getting very close to it. So when his the chachma, the brain, the eyes in his brain see the riyah chushis with an actual riyah, becomes a reality, and he sees that the Eibusha is his life mamish. The Eibusha is the source and the source of all life. So then when he realizes that and he interacts with that, at the point that it comes to his reality, then he becomes one thing with Hashem, and he's constantly have that in front of his eyes because he sees it. In other words, what we're talking about here, we have in Tanya, there's the concept, we spoke about Re'iyah and Shmiyah. There's the union of Iskafia and the union of Ishapcha. A Beinani is the union of Ishapcha, is a very good main union of Ishapcha. In other words, that he constantly has to fight, and every time in the morning that he starts davening again, he again arouses his Avos Hashem, and there's a constant fight. But then by davening, his Nefesh Habamis is sleeping temporarily, and then his Nefesh Elokis is in full force. But that's the Indian. That's a concept. That's avodah of a beinani. But a tzaddik is holding by the avodah of his hapcha. In other words, he totally transformed his Yetzer Hara into a Yetzer Tov, and he constantly loves Hashem. It never stops. It's a constant thing. And Chassidus explains that the avodah of a tzaddik is that the reality of Elikus, that means his mind connects to his heart in such a way that the etzem of his mayach, the essence of his brain, connects to the inner part of his heart. By a beinani, there's his abundance. He understands, he recognizes Elikus, godliness. So he comes to the conclusion that the Eibishter is good and we have to love him. So that's a bechein, a total assessment, a total summary of what he understood. Is this summary reaches his heart. Tzaddik is in a state that his mayach and his lev are totally connected at all times, and that's the kind of re'iyah that he's talking about here. So he's talking about it here at a higher level. We're talking about the avodah of tzaddikim, that their connection to the Eibusher is with chinas re'iyah, and that's what b'chol vavcha is that he transformed already the Yetzer Hara to also love Hashem, and so now he's going to go on to explain. All the army, the planets, all the armies of the heaven bow down to you. The pasuk Maimer Azal, Shacham or Shekas b'Mayriv, the sun bows down sets in the west, which means it's bowing down to Hashem. All the planets and all the constellations, they all bow down and mishtachvet to the Eibishter. Why? They recognize and they feel the energy and the life that gives them life. So that's why Malachim are battled Hashem, because they feel that we see the world as a reality, a physical reality. The Malachim feel the energy that the Chayes Elokei that gives, and says in Chassidus that really the Galgalim, the planets, they also feel, and says the Raj Godel that the planets have, the Meshabech Eibishter, is even in a certain sense higher than Malachim, because they're Gashmias, Malachim are Ruchnias, so they completely go out of their kelim. That's what it says. That they completely go lose themselves because they realize Chayes Elokei, that's Machayim. Of course, each Malach and Mazel, according to their level, understand more of the Rambam says. So Kapanim, who give them energy and keep them going on and existing. So that's what keeps them, and that's what connects them and gives them a bittul that they constantly feel a battle telikus. So zehu re'ei nasati l'fanecha. That's what the pasuk is saying. Re'ei nasati l'fanecha. We said before, I have the good and the bad, the life and mavchayim and mavis. In other words, if you see re'ei, if you see with your intellect, with your eyes of your seichel, that the true reality, then realize what's chayim and what's mavis, what's toiv and what's ra. You're seeing true reality. So then you're automatically, if you're in that state as malachim, that you understand what the chayis of the world really is, they feel it. But if you understand it in a way that you see it, it becomes a reality, then you understand, you're ready automatically b'charta b'chayim. The riyachush is a person sees with his own eyes, physically. The riyachush is he sees himself alive and existing. And he sees all the galaxies, all the planets bowing down to Hashem, which means their speed, the speed that they're going, and is a shachavat Eibishter. It says when I hear that, I don't know exactly, but it says the sun goes the highest galgal that will achieve goes like a few million miles in a minute. So that's what I heard. I remember where Rebbe said, what's the pella? If you feel the bittul telikus, that's what's the pella? They're going so fast. So it's automatic. I'm not sure exactly, but that's what I heard. So that's the shakavat Eibishter. There is a yavil madregas v'after so v'aylekecha b'chol v'avcha b'shnei yisrach. Through this contemplating and seeing this reality, you'll come to madrega. He's like to Krishma v'after Hashem lekecha b'chol v'avcha b'shnei yisrach. Both of your yetzer tov and yetzer hara. That yetzer hara will also love Hashem. Shafilu ha'yetzer hara. Once you realize that and you have that reality, so that's the madrega of a tzaddik. Automatically, Yetzer Hara will be transformed to love Hashem, to Yetzer Tov. Move away your will for Hashem's will. So Al Rebbe teaches that a little differently. The love to Hashem, which comes from such a inner sight of reality, seeing Hashem as the only true reality. There is no comparison to that type of experience, realizing what a likus really is, to anything physical that a person could imagine. Doesn't close to it. Cloud when Yanim Gashmi. Who can compare to you? Who can evaluate yourself to him? So he goes on. So in other words, that's how the Rebbe teaches. Batil Yitzaynoi Your ratzain, whatever you have goals in this world, remove those goals when you realize what the truth of everything, the reality of the Eibishter. Because when you realize what truth, reality really is, then it's only the Ratzon of the Eibishter that you really want. Has to be constant and steady. Someone that tamid, if you don't see it constantly, like we said before, a Beinoni only is during davening, but tzaddik has that reality constantly. So all of Ne'emar v'achsil b'choshech hoylech, and fool walks in darkness. All these Shlomo Melech says that chacham, his eyes are in his head. So it says in Tanya, where else is the eyes of a person? But it's a place that's part of the head. So he explains that you're constantly aware of the true reality. Your existence and your energy from the Eibishter himself. And so also. When you have that re'iyah constantly, when you constantly have that awareness, then your love to Hashem is constant. The tia nafshik shura belikim chayim, and your nefesh is connected to the Eibishter. Kesher nifla v'chazak la'ad u'leim, a strong and immense bound that's forever everlasting. In other words, we said before the need of Veikus and Kesher. So in most places, Sisa explains that Kesher is higher than Veikus, because Kesher is something that Veikus could be attached and detached. But the truth then explains that the true Veikus is something higher than Kesher, because it's something, the attachment actually makes you into one. Kesher is something that's tied, but it has a knot. You could untie the knot. The true Veikus is that it's connected and pasted together, that can never depart. So that's it. That's the darg of a tzaddik. So he says, "Bris who inyanized kashrus." This I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is the words of Zohar. The Zohar brings this in a concept on our parsha that we're talking about the tikkun habris. In other words, bris could be in two yanim. Bris kodesh is. It could be the connection. You're taking away the connection to inyanim of connection to Olam Hazeh and Taivas Olam Hazeh, and the bris could be a bris, a connection between you and the Eibishter. So bris is the midas Yisod, which can gene of ava, which could be in ava zara or ava to the Eibishter. So he says that is the extra koyach power that's connected to tiyufta, to tshuva, yatid v'tadir, and this could be zayir. It's constant and it's forever. It never stops. Because tshuva, as you can explain later, is a concept that you connect to the Eibishter in a bris, in a connection of bris, which never stops. The sakin kama bris. Ki bris hu inyanais kashrus. Bris is the concept of connection. Of a kedusha hu inyanais kashrus nafshoi v'shorshe v'chayuseh. In kedusha, that's a connection of a yid of his neshama to his shirish, to his source and his roots. So in contrast to being the union of heipach of bris of gamma bris, the union of that you have to have a tikkun of gamma bris, which is a connection that you had in the wrong way. You have to constantly be connected to shirish shamakar, which is also the union of bris. The heipach zelu mazeh who is kashus v'tayves elu mazeh v'tanuga is bnei yadav. The opposite direction in Tum and Klipa is a connection of that you have to Taivas Olam Hazeh and Tanugas Meyada. Chein hatikun hu lahepech alahapech liboy mehepech lahepech. The tikkun is to reverse your heart in the totally opposite direction, the other extreme, that you're totally connected to Hashem in a constant way. To connect your nefesh to its root and its highest, which drawn down from the Eibishter, who keil chai b'kayam chinas habris. That's a lashon we say in the bracha that we give by the bris. So that's a lashon that the Eibishter is chai v'kayim is everlasting and your connection to the Eibishter is also everlasting. As the concept of bris. B'chinas bris hamakasher mamshich hachayis. So what does that connection represent? He says here, that's a concept of bris. That means you're reaching to higher. You're reaching to above. You're reaching to Seviv Kol Almin. It's not just that you're limited in a certain limit of Memalik Kol Almin. And you're taking that unlimited energy and bringing that unlimited energy into limitations while it still is unlimited. That's a concept of Chalal David says, but in other words, you're taking unlimited energy and drawing it down as an unlimited energy down below. To give life to every single flesh that's and living thing that it should be revived from the highest of Elikus. There should be a constant and a true devekus with the Eibishter. That's the concept of bris, that you're connecting to Seviv Kol Almin. Connected to higher, it's higher than world, than creation. And b'zehu yatir v'tagid. That's lashon the Zohar, yatir v'tagid, constant and more extra and constant. It's not enough that he rouses the Ava that Eibishter during davening. And then it disappears and it goes away. Like it says in the pasuk, Karev Havaya L'chol Keirav, L'chel Shekruv Emes. Hashem is close to all those that call him. L'chel Shekruv Emes, all those that call him with the Emes. And that's the concept of Emes that's everlasting. Something that changes, something that has Shinuyim, is not all around as in the same state. It's not emes. So a true connecting to Hashem. Shekruva emes is something that's concept. Shekruva emes is something that doesn't change, doesn't stop. That's the ava that doesn't stop. That a yid has to the Eibishter at all times. Mesas emes tikrin la'aksiv. Fast emes, lips of truth shall stand forever. Masha'ekin says in Tanya, this lashon Masha'ekin vod. We say Baruch ShemEkuzi Loilam vod, which is connected to the avodah babeini argia. It's only temporarily. So now we understand. So this is the avodah of tefillah b'chol levavcha, that you take Yetzer Hara and also transform it into kedusha, and that comes. It's connected to avodah tzaddikim. It comes from the b'china of re'iyah, that you see a likus. But and you connect to higher. The avodah is connected to Memalik Kol Almin. Here you're connected to Seviv Kol Almin and bring down. You're connected to Eibishter himself. But we're going to see later that's also not the ultimate. As Alter Rebbe is going to go on. This reality, actual reality, that brings you to this ava. This comes from above. Because a yid himself cannot reach the Ava of a tzaddik, cannot reach that level of Ava. So the Ava Rabbah it's a matanamal mila. You could reach even those that have an neshama of a tzaddik, those that have an neshama of a tzaddik altogether. The Alter Rebbe says you have to wait for a tzaddik to pull you out, but it has to come al mila. The person says Alter Rebbe says in the mila it take a year for a person to work from a beini to become a tzaddik. And it comes through Mariras, has to break through a wall. The Alter Rebbe says in a whole arichas. So this has to come to Mila. Hashem shall appear to them, be exposed to them. And like a light, it shall go out like a lightning. His spirit. What is it? What does it mean? He excites it up to this. This is the drawing down and the ha'ara, the light that shines to Yidin, to Yid, liyos aleihem yerah, that they should see. Yerah is lashon seeing a reality, that through bringing down hamshacha of elikus milmayla, you get to that point where Elikus becomes your reality. In other words, you can't reach it on your own. You could come up to a certain stage, and then the Eibush has to give it to you from above. That they should actually see that reality. They should see the light of the Eibush, the Chaya Chayim, B'riya Chushis, with an actual Riyah, and to be attached to it. That's why Chazal, before we say Krishma, before we say V'ahavta, Kol Seder Atfila, Tatfila, Ubirchis HaShachar, the whole Seder of Tefillah, up to Krishma, Baruch Atah, we say Baruch Atah Hashem. What does it mean? What is we're constantly saying Baruch Atah Hashem, Brachos, Baruch She'amar. What is Baruch She'amar? What does Baruch entail? Baruch Atah Chulush, Anu Mevakshim Sheyoir Lanu Ohr Havaya Bizgalus. That it should shine into us the light of Hashem, the Ohr Havaya, in His galus, that which should become revealed to us that this is our reality. We should have that ha'ara milmaila that gives us the ava rabba that the koyach that we should reach that ava that we have that constant love to Hashem. She kabil all of the kriyash mitzvahs v'ahavta be'emes. It should be with the emes. It should be a true v'ahavta. Zehu havaya l'keinu. That's how the bracha continues. Baruch Atah. Baruch Atah says, draw down Atah. I'm drawing down you, Eibush, that you should give me that koyach that I should be able to come to seeing of the kos. Then we should go on havaya l'keinu. Havaya elikenu. Kini Amrazal. Why is Elikenu? Why is it your Elikenu? Amrazal, as Azal said, Gedolim Yisrael Yoser mi Malachim. Yidden are greater than Malachim. Shemamtinim loimer kadosh Arch Yisrael Einul Mamata. Malachim have to wait until the Yidden say kedusha, and then the Malachim can say kedusha. They can't say without. Why? Ain't moving. Malachim are much more spiritual and much greater than us down here. That there should be an extra kayach for a yid down here in this physical world, that he should be higher than a malach. And he's comparing them. There isn't a person that doesn't get machshavas zaros from while to while. At least if he's not a person that gets machshavas zaros, we can explain machshava, which is not in his standard of what he should have been thinking all the time. Machshava, which is zara etzlek. For him, it's something not totally fit. How great he is, that's how much is expected of him to be in a high medega. So that's a person down here. Malachim stand on they're out of that materialistic body, and they're out of gash physicality. They're total spiritual. The kulam oisim aim of Yerushalayim kainam. They're all, we say in davening, they're all oisim aim of Yerushalayim kainam. Mebereshis belishum bitul behefsei v'lerechad. And here we say they have to wait for the Yidden. So the explanation is, let's go for Kitzer, the malachim taka are more spiritual. But they contain the godliness, a likus, just as a passageway. It goes through them because since they're so they're all totally spiritual. There's nothing for them. There's nothing to say kaddish for. Because kaddish means you're holy, you're separated. They are part of a likus. Malachim are what you call in the words of Chassidus batul b'mtzius. They're no existence. A yid has a separate goof, a separate body, and because he has a yesh, because he has something which is separated, and he elevates that to likus, that's the two opposites that he's taking the lowest of lowest and connecting it to the highest of highest. If you say malchus, I said malchus less lemon about klum. If you have a marshal a piece of jewelry, you can't put another jewelry in that place. You have a container, you take all the pieces of jewelry right down, put in the container, marshal. So malchus is a kind of less lemon about, it's a container, but that has its shirish in Kesser and Pnimius Kesser way high and that's the concept that you take something outward. Malchus is the concept that the way and the Malchus the way it is internally in a person itself, like when a person thinks what to speak, and then when someone else receives it. So this world we have the opinion of a davar nifra. The guf is a separate thing, and when the guf recognizes the likus, then it reaches ashmus. That transformation of actual kosher into oil, that reaches ashmus.
Well,
I went too far, no?
No. I like people to have this is okay. It's okay. All of them, it's okay.
Everybody.
I can't wait 3 years for the next time. I'm gonna, I have to make a.
You don't have to adopt the Torah Ohr Parshas.
Yeah, over there's a sink over there.